Got us a Puma by Palomino. Let's see, 1968. That means they roughly have, this being, we don't know exactly when in 68, but that means they got a little bit of experience right there. What, probably 56 years or so? Let's see how good they do. See if they learned anything in 56 years. How to put a roof together. You would think, with 56 years of experience, clearly they must know what they're doing. That's over half a century. So, this is your typical RV roof. Slobber moron. Hoo-ha. Alright, this one doesn't have much on it. Boy, this roof is filthy. Absolutely filthy. I think something hit this roof, if I remember correctly. So, that's all I do. This stuff just is what caused them to fail. It's just that bad caulking. You want to check all this stuff here. And obviously, check all this. Make sure you, because it'll get down inside the wall. Little foam gasket, that's all he put up on there. Little foam gasket that can protect you from all the elements. You know, you can see all the branches. That stuff gets up underneath there. When it gets up underneath there, it dries out that gasket, and then that's how you start getting some leaks. You can see some more stuff up underneath that one. Only got the one vent and the skylight, so that's pretty easy. Oh. There's a soft spot right there. Yeah. That's a soft spot in there. Yep, this is all rotted right in here. Boing, boing. Alright. Around the other side. But this self-leveling, this isn't the way to go. This isn't the way you do a roof. So, if you were to look up, go online and look up commercial roof images, and you will see vents, skylights, ACs. You'll see them all elevated up off the roof line. They're elevated up on a box. Basically, that box is called a curb, and that's how a flat roof or a low slope roof functions. Cutting a square hole, putting the screws in it, slobbering it, frosting it over with that self-level. That's not the way you do a roof. It doesn't bode well. So here we have, looks like a carpenter ant going in a panic right there. That's because the union's about to shut down. It's a union carpenter ant, you can tell, because he's got no tool belt on. You see? That's how you can tell. All cracking. They designed this stuff, so that's what they want you to do, is put all this self-leveling on here. They want you to continually do it. It's their cash cow. This is their way to say, oh yeah, this is what's going to stop you from leaking. Why don't you reformulate this product, whoever's making it? Why don't you have them reformulate it, or better yet, use a better product? You can go get any commercial grade lap sealant. You can go any supply house and get it. Firestone makes it, Carlo makes it, GAF makes it. Every brand has their own lap sealant, but they're all about the same. But they're going to do better in this because they're designed to withstand the elements, unlike this stuff. This doesn't. So I'm not a fan of anything that says RV. I would not recommend putting it on your coach. You can do much better getting commercial grade products, and probably cheaper, because the RV industry is snookering people big time. So like I said, this is their cash cow. That's why they want you to put it on there. Imagine all the campers running out there, people who own campers that have to keep going over and over and over their coaches, you know, at whatever, 15 bucks a tube. That's a ripoff. That's for sure, absolute ripoff. And that's what they do. So, and then along the edge here, I can feel that decking. There's nothing protecting this right here. I don't think I have a knife on me. But you'll see when we tear it apart. There's nothing on there. So now what we're doing is just checking some stuff out, make sure everything works, and then we're going to take it all apart and try and get a new roof on here like we usually do. Stay tuned, more action! Alright, so we got the decking up. And now this is where that leak was. Got a fan on it, got a mold kill it, but it sounds solid. Everything does. It's just water stained. Even the ceiling. I don't want to hit too hard because it's just thin. But that's what it's supposed to sound like. It's just water stained. So got lucky on that. So now what we're doing is trying to clean up all the trusses. And then we go around and we're going to be protecting and checking out all the wires. We get through here. These are just running through the wall. Sometimes I'll run them through a ferrule, but obviously not these ones. So if it's a ferrule, it's a little tube and it's really sharp. And what'll happen, it's like cut with like a tubing cutter. And the concern is that when the coach kind of, there's one over there actually, you can see right over there. So I'll show you what that's about here. I'll walk around the other side and see if I even got a bushing for you to show you all this. All right, so these are your 120 lines. These are obviously, they're all important, but this is the one that's going to shock you. You see how sharp they are? So for a company that's been doing this for 54 years, you would think, one, they'd glue it down, which it isn't. And also you'd think that they would protect the wires. You know, that being with 54 years of experience, I think that on the front it said, what, 1968. Since 1968. So this is just too small, but I'm just giving you, I'm going to go get another one. And what it does is it fits down. Let's see what these things are doing here first. Here we can see this. See how it's starting to dig in there? You don't want that, because then it'll compromise this. So I like to check all these. That's why one reason why we take the decking up, because I want to check them. Like I said, I'm just going to put a bigger one. It'll fit right inside there. And then that'll protect it. So when I say that these manufacturers will not put in one more red cent, here's your red cent. That's all it is. It's about a penny. So you got one, probably a couple. I don't think you've got 10 here. That's not even an extra $1. Not an extra $1. And then you got to worry about whether you're going to have, you know, compromised wires. So then they also run them across here. These are just foam. And a lot of times what happens is it gouges and it'll actually dig a hole in here. So we're going to put some protection on here. I'll put a little piece of aluminum on here and I'll tape it on there just so when it's moving like that as it's going down the road, it's not going to keep digging a hole in it. So got a little something going on right here. We'll tape that up. So I'm going to check all these trunk lines. Got a compromised truss right here. So we'll fix this too and we'll get that. And whatever else. So we go around and check all these, you know, make sure they're, oh, that was just a piece of scrap. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if that one got kind of pinched when we were trying to pull the decking up. So, but anyhow, that's what we're looking for, to make sure all the ducts like that there. That's okay, it's just a dent though. But I want to make sure, like, again, like these wires aren't digging into the ductwork and then all your cold air is coming up here. And then, like I said, we're going to check this one too. I want to see if they're okay. I don't want to send it out and then the customers, hey, thanks, great, looks awesome, and they go to their wherever, travel 200, 300, 400 miles, try to set up, can't, flip a switch, something shorts out. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to go, hey Joe, you put a wire through something. You know, and it wasn't me. It was this wire had that was the last straw, and I didn't, you know, we didn't check it because we didn't pull. You know, hypothetically, if we didn't pull the decking off, you can't see it. You know, so that's the first thought. So it's really good. This is common. Every manufacturer does this, you know, and this is built exactly like every other manufacturer. So the ones that say, hey, mine are different, no, they're not. They're all the same. All these trusses are all the same. They get them from probably the same vendor or a similar vendor, and they just put them all together. It's nothing different than a Keystone or a Jayco or any other one that I've ever found. They're all the same. All have the same gusset plates. These ones aren't even tacked in, they're just gusset plated. There's no, these ones are just stapled together so they don't walk, but there's nothing like fastening this piece to that. It's just this right here, that gusset plate. They put them on right there. So like I said, we're gonna go around. I'll go get those other bushings. I'll show you the work, you know, to show you those after we got them done. Obviously, we pulled all the insulation out. We'll vacuum it, clean it, make sure it's all nice, and then make sure all that's all set after we mold kill it. So we got a little bit to do. Look at the compromise on here. See, these are some of the things. That is really tight. Why would you do that? Why would you do that, Palomino? Look how tight these wires are. I mean, that is really a tight deal. And it's along that metal piece right there. And it's real tight over there. You can't get any slack off of this anywhere. That's not good. I think I'm going to put a piece of roofing in there. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sleeve a piece of roofing or something down there. Just act as a cushion, you know, away from this on the other side. You know, you don't feel compromised. But I don't want it to chafe into that barb, that gusset plate, and then short out. But that's not even smart. I don't know why they did that. It's going all the way over here and then going down there when, you know, they could have shot underneath this ductwork and come up over there somewhere and ran it. I don't understand why they do some of these things and stress out wires. That's just not even smart. So, well, that's the stuff I'm looking for. I want to check, make sure everything's okay before we just say, sure, let's put a roof on it, and then find out, oh, well, really, it needed this or that. That's what we do here. You know, different than other shops. We're not the same as other shops. We want to make sure we put a roof on good, put it on once, be done with it, and inspect everything underneath. This is their fancy way of putting for the antenna was right here. So they had 7/16 decking on there. So really this doesn't serve any purpose at all. But like I said, we're checking everything out. And I'll let you know how we fare on some of the stuff that I find. Check all these. Alright, let me get some. Here's another one I see right there. Definitely want to check that one. Alright, so that piece that I was just talking about, that's just a piece of coax going down inside there. So that's all it was. At first I thought it might have been a 120 line because it looks pretty thick. Alright, cool. So these wires, these are the ones that I was talking about. They're really tight. So it had the little strut in there. I just pulled it out. That gives it a lot more room. And I'm just going to cut another block in there, and I'll put another one in there. Then notice this one down here too by the refrigerator. That is super tight. Went around this one. I just knocked it out. I got one more right there because these ones are tight. So these should have been ran this way. This one should have ran that way if that's the way they want them to go. Then you still get this one. That's kind of tight as well. I may end up knocking that one out and giving some relief. They're just too tight, and this one isn't nearly as tight, and neither is this one. This one over here. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I found a whole bunch of the compromised, or the exposed, whatever you want to call it. I call it compromised because it is. The wires, the insulation. Started digging into the sheathing. This is the sheathing of the wire, and then the insulation is what's around the wire like that. So, but there's a sheath, so you cut the sheath back, and then you have your insulated wire inside there. But that was what was getting compromised around there, and eventually it could dig in there. So I want to get that problem solved. So I went around the whole coach and found that there was one there, there's a couple over there, maybe right over that way. There's a couple. I'll show you after we clean it all up, but I got them all. And now I'm just trying to, like I said, get some relief on some of these wires. This one is pulled really tight, goes up over that ductwork over there. So I'm gonna probably get some relief out of it as well. So I got a couple to knock out. Then, like I said, I'll put a couple more in there, and we'll be fine with that. But I'd rather do that than find out, down the road, got problems with it. So, and then in the meantime, I'll fix this truss over here. All right, so the insulation on here, man, this is cheap stuff. It's real thin. So what we did is put some blown in on there, then we put the original back on top of it. Just to give it a little bit more insulation. And then this is where all the wetness was. We mold killed this twice, and then we've got a blower on here just because we want to make sure we got it as dry as we can. So now it's workable. So we're going to end up finishing the rest of it. You see, we got everything is all glued down. It's all glued. Then we fasten down. You don't want to put screws in this. This isn't a DIY channel, but if you think you want to trick your own, don't put screws in it. You're going to split these trusses, especially these ones, because these are just, it's just this is actual wood. It's not OSB. I've seen some that are OSB, but you know, you keep flying screws in there, this thing's gonna split right apart on you. So I would not recommend that at all. It would be nothing. You would not fare well. Then what we also did is we went around and I put all these little plates like that to protect the ductwork. I don't think I got a video on it because most of them were up there, but we did do them all. Then we went around and put all these little bushings in there. Remember I was telling you that? Those are like a penny a piece. I think I may have put in, and you know, 10 of them, 10 cents. I don't think they're 2 cents. We'll say they're 5 cents. I know they're not 5 cents. So 50 cents extra. Palomino, you cannot give 50 cents more of quality, really? And then over there on that other side, I don't think I got that. They decked that so much too. They were moving along pretty good. Those wires, I actually cut the piece. I cut this out on those ones there where the wires are really tight. They were really tight and pulled around, so and they were heading down that way. I cut that, got the relief that I needed, then I made another little block and I put it in there. That's what I did, to give it some relief, because that just didn't make sense to me. So, anyhow, we're about ready to get going with the rest of it. Let's see if we can get a roof on this thing. All right, we're about to roll out passenger side. Driver's side is already done. You can see we got it all glued. We got all our protective strips on here. So this, we put this on because you got this aluminum siding coming up, and that's going to be real sharp against the edge as the coach racks and flexes. So you want to put something to protect it. So we get that on there. All they did was black tape. Quality from Palomino since 1968. So now what we're going to do, you can see we got these strips on here. These are just, the reason I put these on, because sometimes these trusses just kind of get a little imbalanced. And I just want it to look better. That's really what it is. If I didn't have them on there, it wouldn't really affect anything, but I just think it makes the roof look better. So that's why I put them on. Kind of like that. I want it to not only function well, but look well. So that's us. Everything's all ready to go. We're going to roll it out, then we can start getting the roof together. I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. All right, we are done with our Puma. All done. We put a gutter on the back, so all the water comes off the roof. They had a corner mold up here, and then this piece came up and went over that way, and usually that traps water right in here, and you end up with rot, water just getting in the corners and rotting them out. I like water off the roof. The best way I can do that, I will try to achieve it and get it off the roof totally. So now when it comes down here, I want it off the roof, you know, and let's get rid of it. Even put spouts on it. I don't want it running down the siding if I can prevent it. I know rain's going to come this way, but it still limits the amount of rain. How does that say? So we got a little stamp on here, March 24. That just says when we put the roof on. This way, when it comes back for inspections, we can monitor how good the roof is doing, if there's any issues with it, and so forth. Before I keep going, I want to thank the customer for bringing the coach in. I really appreciate the work. We take the time to do the job right. So everything that you have seen so far on the video, where we where we've taken up the roofing, obviously, the decking, checked all the AC lines, taped them all up, put the wires, protectors in, also protected the AC from the wires going over, and all of that. That's standard. That's standard. So when we do a work order, that is standard. So, you know, if you're trying to compare apples to apples with, you know, another company, I mean, no one's going to put a roof together like we do. One, because, you know, we designed this whole thing. I designed everything on here. Nobody does it. I haven't trained one shop yet to be able to install these roofs. But every single component on here, from these plumbing boots to the curbs to everything, I fabricate in-house. So we're also not a sales shop. All we do is we're just a service center. That said, we do not sell a thing. We don't sell one thing here at all. Also, this is not a DIY video. So, you know, if you get some tips, awesome, but that isn't what they're intended for, not intended for DIY or tutorials. And we also do not quote on social media. So if you like the video, click it, hit a thumbs up. Maybe someone else will be able to see it and, you know, be able to, you know, use some info off it, I guess. So we got these boots that we put around here. Everything is all heat welded. So a lot of times, like these ladders, they move a lot, and then it'll get these all loose. And typically, you know, they just have this base right there, and then they slobber with self-leveling. And those two generally tend to leak. So they're not going to leak this way. They're all sealed up, and the seal at the end is real flexible. So it's going to always stay like that. That's the design of it. So we put in some new insert trim, and I'll go over that too. We got some insert trim. But all of the curbs, so if you would look online for commercial roof images, you would see skylights, you'd see vents, you'd see ACs, you'd see them all elevated up off the roof line. And then they're on a box essentially. But the boxes, if you will, they're called curbs. They're not really called boxes. So that's how a flat roof or low slope roof functions, and that's what this is. And those buildings aren't going down the highway at 70 miles an hour. So you can imagine, you know, the way these manufacturers put these roofs together, they are exploiting people's ignorance to roof systems. That's not the proper way to do a roof. And then what they do is tell you to simply, for their own liability, they say keep putting more on of that self-leveling. Do it every 3 to 4 months or whatever. They have a matrix when they sell the campers, and they say, hey, this is how you're supposed to do it all the time. And you don't have to do that. On a commercial level, you don't do all that. You don't have to keep going back and putting all that on there. You inspect the roofs annually. That's smart. And, you know, obviously you may have to adjust a few things from UV light breaking things down, but you shouldn't have to go back every single 3 or 4 months and keep putting that on. That's nonsense. So again, that's their cash cow. I've said it before in other videos as well. It's their cash cow. They sell that stuff for whatever, 14, 15, 16 bucks a tube or something. And you imagine how many coaches are out there and how many people are doing it, because they go, well, the manufacturer says to do it. They must know what they're doing. Yeah, they do know what they're doing. They're getting in your wallet. That's all they do. So whatever they say, you know, in regards to roofs, it says RV on it, do not buy it. It's junk. You can go to a commercial warehouse, get a much better lap sealant than anywhere else. Just go to the commercial supply house and say, hey, I'm looking for some, you know, lap sealant for whatever, an EPDM rubber roof, if you have that, because that's the only place you probably need it. And they'd say, okay, yeah, here you go. But it would be a much better product than what you're going to put on from, you know, the Dicor brand or any of these other brands that are out there. So all these boots are all heat welded in here. Everything's all heat welded. So this isn't just cemented down. It's actually welded in there, fused together. The skylight, you don't put any screws in it, solely glued down. And so we got a plumbing over here, but this is an intake. That intake, so especially now with the way the weather is, it's cold outside, cold in the morning, you get some frost on here. Not only is it on the top, it's on the underside of this lens. So now you have an interior lens, and then you have this lens. So when the sun comes up, it's going to evaporate what's on the top here, but what's on the underside, it can't evaporate it. So what it does is basically just condenses it, condensation, and it'll drill down on the inside of the lens, and then it'll get either in the curb, or if you don't have one of obviously these roofs, then it would get into like the roof deck. So, and that's the way they design them. There isn't really, you know, no one's really been smart enough to figure out that really you need some ventilation in there. So that type of water, that condensation, that's considered dry rot, because even though it is moisture that's causing it, it dries back out, and then it starts rotting. So eventually it keeps waking it up, drying out, waking up, drying out, and it starts rotting out. So they call that dry rot. But this is an intake. So this is a solar fan. So once the sun comes up to evaporate that off, that kicks on. When that kicks on, it draws air, and there's a piece of ductwork I have in there, and it pulls it up over the inner lens. So it's in between this cavity, goes down and out, and that'll stay on. Now, I can't warranty them. I mean, they're just Chinese fans, so I don't know how long they're going to last, but it's the best option I could think of to be able to keep cycling this. So you may have to replace it once a year, I don't know. But if you did have to replace it, it would still be cheaper than doing a roof repair. So, and again, we don't screw any of these down. These are all glued down. Over the years, I've found that no matter what you do, how you do, when you do, these things are always going to crack. So as you have, especially in the summer where you have a lot of heat sitting on the lens, now it's expanding. And then when you get a thunder shower, it's going to contract real quick. And what it does, it kind of shocks right here. I mean, it's probably not that quick, but you get the idea. It's going to retract back, and then what it can do is it starts making these little hair fractures right through here. And also the manufacturing of these lenses, there could be an air bubble somewhere, and that could also help induce a crack or a fracture, right? So I mean, obviously I can't warranty that either. But the our warranty covers the roof will not leak. That's what it covers, basically, that you will be okay with that. And the material itself is 20 years. This means this material, just material, is 20-year warranty. All roofing material works the same way. They give warranty on this here and says this will not degrade, this will not, you know, fail for a period of 20 years. And the way they phrase it, it's prorated. So it's called unusual oxidation and unusual fading is how they kind of phrase it. But what that means is that it will last for that long, right? But they don't know who's installing it, so they're not going to warranty any labor. Do not know of anybody who's going to warranty a labor on a roof system. Not like we do anyways, I know that. So the way our warranty works is I'd like to see this come back 30, maybe 60 days. I want to do an initial inspection. We do show the customer how to do an inspection, but the reason why I want to see it is because it's new, it's fresh, it's going to rack, it's going to twist, it's going to flex. I could get another Puma in here, and another Puma is going to rack and twist and flex differently than this one. So all that said, I want to make sure we're addressing all the problems or concerns with this Puma. And so we take a look at it, make sure everything's okay. You want to check all the caulking, you want to check all of that, check all the welds, so on. And once we get all that, then you come back once a year. So I don't want anything to happen that could have been otherwise prevented real simply. That's why I would like to see it. Now when you do a commercial job, and that's my background, I'm a commercial contractor, but when you do a commercial job, you go back about a month, you know, no later than 60 days, you do an inspection, you go back annually. So I'm just doing the same thing. So that's how the warranty works. So I do it every year. So this being 24, they come back, this is March, June, July. They come back, we'll say in July, we do another inspection on it. Then they'll have another inspection due July of 25. In July of 25, they come back, they'll have, their warranty will go to July of 26. We do it every year like that. So on the air conditioners, there is a foam gasket up inside here, and that foam gasket is what's supposed to protect it from the weather. But I don't want anything to get to that foam gasket. I want to try to keep everything away, as much water out as I can. So right here, as the water's coming down, and the wind's blowing, it could blow it back up underneath there. So that's what that piece is. That's a piece of counter flash. So that counter flash pushes it down below another piece of counter flash that I built into all of these. And this is a piece of counter flash right here. That's what that's known as, counter flashing. There's your flashing, counter flashing. So as the water's coming through, rushing across the roof, whatever, on a storm you're driving, whatever, it's going to hit up on here and it's going to get redirected around. It minimizes erosion effect. That's what it's supposed to do. So this has the same counter flash, and that front piece drops below it. So it'll push it down. It'll push it down below like this, so the water will get out. So we put a couple of stands in the back. That just gives it some balance. And then we did the same thing to this front one up here. And then obviously the antenna, we got that all mounted and everything else up on here. Got the same front counter flash. We got 2 strikes of caulking going all around the coach. We put 2 strikes on because if you've ever operated a caulking gun, you'll notice it'll crackle and pop. That's because you just injected air. There's air. When it comes down through the assembly line and they're pushing all that product down through those tubes as they're going down, you do get air in them. So that potentially could be a leak. So my thought is, what's the chance of having one air bubble land on top of another? So we always go with 2 strikes. The gutter itself is always glued on, and then once that's glued on, then we put the first strike. That cures, we put a second strike on there. But every one of these screws, this is a really good insert trim, and if I take it out, I'm probably going to have trouble putting it back in. But every one of these screws that go in here are all sealed. I've showed it on other videos. I don't know if I showed it on this one when we were doing it on the other side. But the insert trim, and again, I don't sell any of these products, but the difference is this is your standard type of insert trim. Right, here's your gutter. There's your standard insert trim right here, and you see how it just slides back and forth, and it slides inside that little track right there. See, it slides in there. So the stuff that we use, it fits inside the groove. There's a channel right there. You can see the channel, and you can see that groove, and it fits inside it and over it. So it goes in. You can see the groove in the piece. That locks out a lot more water. It also has a little bit better of a bulb shape, which is a principle of water adhesion, where the water is going to follow that and go down into the gutter. So I like it a lot better, and it's more rigid. So it's more expensive. That's why the RV industry does not use it. Whatever's cheapest for them is all they're going to do. So the product in itself is 60 mil this product here. This is a 60 mil commercial grade roof membrane. This is called TPO. TPO stands for thermoplastic. So that being said, we offer 3 different colors, but if you go into the RV industry, their membrane is like 25 mil. I mean, that's the thickness of it. So when you get into a commercial level, the entry level on commercial is 45 mil. That's again, that's a thickness. So a commercial level, you're already up that much more. But yet, instead of doing 45, we put on 60. So I'm literally doubling the thickness of the roof system, you know, and upgrading not only to a commercial roof, which is stronger by far, but also another level up on commercial. So there's 3 different colors: the tan, obviously the white, and then in the gray. And there's all our contact information right there. You can reach us right there. 475-7663. It just spells out roof. 423-475-7663. Or you go to the website rvroofinstall.com. Obviously, you're probably watching on YouTube, so you know that channel already. So, but the roof system, the roof membrane right here is what's known as a structured membrane. Let's see if I can get that image for you. You should be able to see these little squares. See if I show you even the little fleece. But this has a mat built into it. It's basically, they call it a mesh, and you can probably see little squares. It looks like a screen, and that's where it gives you your strength against hail, tree branches, and so forth. But there's probably see these little whiskers coming out here. If you can see those, that's part of the mesh that's built into this. So that's where you're going to get a lot more strength. It's not like a regular RV roof. Those things tear real easy. You get a tree branch dragging on it, you know, it's going to rip it apart. This is going to be a lot stronger by far. Also, if you did have a tree branch hit it, we can patch it easily. So I've had one customer though, it was a heck of a patch, but we had to do it. But all this whole side right here, he tried to make it up underneath a drive-through for a restaurant, and that metal sign caught it and just ripped it. It was 14-foot rip. It was enormous. We still were able to patch it though and still put it back together, but it was still a little bit of work. But anyhow, so all that said, I think I've got everything covered. Like I said, if you do like the video, hit thumbs up, all that other stuff, you know the drill. If you like it, you subscribe and you notification thing and all that stuff. Let's see what else I got. Trying to think if I forgot anything. I don't think so. So otherwise, I appreciate y'all watching, and if you got any questions, again, reach out to us, and we'll be glad to help you out with your project, and we appreciate you watching.
Package. So in our care package, we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. What you want to do? And it's raining out. Right now it's raining. You're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you try and do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. Just squeeze, squeeze. You want to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Put some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. gonna talk about, man? Nope, just leave it alone.
Oh.
Leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. Hey, there it is. Now you got the film. You take that film. So now we're going to line it back up like this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That's simple. If it doesn't all sit in there, you can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.